Marokopa Marae. He ata koe nā ngō tūpuna. He tīpare whakarei ki te ao tūro. He tūerangi nei ki te ao nei. Kiingi Mahuta consented to Marokopa having a Poukai. Its doors were opened to the people in 1910, 2 years before he passed away. Is that the Poukai is held annually on the last Saturday of the month of March. When we think about a lot of the history that comes with Marokopa, it's a make of many things. During its time, Kōkako, having ventured from his people, coming across to Marokopa. Then there was Tamoho, who fled after probably being naughty, and crossed over to the Hunua Ranges. We've got Marokopa, who has many a history with regards to Kingitanga, is that 2025 will commemorate 150 years of Ngāti Tūpāhau, Ngāti Mango, Te Herenga Kia Rere Ahu, and its ponoa as aids of the Kingitanga. The origin of the name came from the word maro, which is used to describe a loin cloth. In this case, a wrap that's used to cover the lower half of a person's body, in particular women. Kopa is a female hygiene cloth used for menstruation. Both words translate the beautiful history that permeates the celestial images which carries the story of love. It has a lot with regards to its history, the story of Apakura, Whatihua, Rua Pūtahanga in particular, or Taranaki. It's quite sad, is that the mural at Wawae defines that very, very history of Tawhao, where he falls in love. He marries the elder sister of the two Marutahia Kena and Punyata Kore. And of course, one was barren, the first wife, the senior wife. So he pursued the younger sister, and ironically, they became pregnant at the same time. And so the younger sister, which is the junior wife, or the lesser wife as known, is that she gave birth to Whatihua, and the senior wife gave birth to Turongo. And we look at the history with regards to Turongo and Whatihua as they were stepbrothers, and with Whatihua claiming seniority over Turongo because his mother gave birth to him and he became senior to both of them. However, the mother was the lesser wife of Tawhao. Turongo, who was, of course, secondary after being born. However, his mother was the senior wife. Therefore, they competed throughout their growing up stages, and with Whatihua would use, the whole idea around magic to be successful in everything he did. And he was cunning. He was very cunning. Unfortunately, Turongo was of the other nature, genuine, hardworking, toil of the soil. And every time he tried to outsmart his brother Whatihua would use, of course, the whole idea of karakia and using the spirit to be able to capitalize and win over Turongo's humanly challenges. So anyway, Turongo fell in love with him. He went on his journey, ended up in Taranaki, saw and fell in love with Rua Pūtahanga. His intention was to marry her, but Whatihua was cunning. He decided he was going to take Rua Pūtahanga as his lesser wife, his second wife. And he did, through his cunning ways. And because the people of Taranaki saw how very, I would say, meaningful Fatihua was. Everything he did was successful. House was bigger. He had more food, bigger garden. And all the while he was telling his brother, oh, your garden's too big, your house is too big. And so Tura won't listen. And what happened was that he lost out to his intended bride. People of Taranaki had decided, no, kore e ora tomato, puhi, ia koe. So she agrees to marry Fatihua and become his lesser wife. And sadly, the story has quite a sad end, as told to us by Tangiwai Christie, is that as she continued to wade through the river, find her way back to her beloved people, to Taranaki, is that because when Ruaputanga wanted to please Fatihua, she wanted to get some eels, because it was his favourite food. But Apakura decided, oh, well, I'll help you, because that's what she wanted to do. But her meaning of help wasn't about being genuine. Because at the end of the day, when Fatihua said, oh, I love my kai, it was a beautiful meal to Ruaputanga, Apakura went and told him it was because of me, why you've got me. So Ruaputanga finds a way back through the river. Eventually, as the story says, at the edge of the sea, no one knows what happened. No one knows what happened after that. Yes, so Ruaputanga, the story is the story of the people of Ngāti Pāhau, of Ngāti Mango, Ngāti Mango Hapu. That's their story. And it's sad but a beautiful one. And it talks about the river. And that's how it got its name. So Tangiwai shared with us a couple of podcasts ago, and it was beautiful to hear the story. The marae is located beside the Marokopa River, which runs into the west coast open sea. Access to the marae is to cross the tidal lagoon by boat. It is isolated from shopping centres and metropolis. Managing the needs of the marae is for its annual event is to carry or cart all the food from Hamilton to Marokopa. That's right. And when you think about that, is that when the people used to go there, when we used to go there in the first time, there was no boats to cross the estuary. And you might have had a rowboat, and it took all day to get the people to the marae. And the brass band used to wait for the tide to recede. They used to carry all their equipment across the tidal lagoon, with their pants rolled up and their legs rolled up and with the drums on top of their heads, and it was quite funny. And it was the same too, I must say, at Muketu, when there was no road, how the band used to walk alongside the edge of the harbour. And when the tide was out, it's the same thing. They carry all their equipment. So coming back to Marokopa, is that today, thanks to Hemi, Kite, and everyone else, they now have beautiful, what you call barges, that can transport the people across 20, 30 people at a time. So that's the excitement about going to Marokopa Poukai. And yes, do go there, because it's one of our Poukai sites that we have a lot of concern because of the climate change and being so close to the sea. So kia koutou te iwi, e mihi koina kia koutou. And don't forget, Marokopa is not Hamilton Sea. And so what you need, you take. But I'm not too sure where they're sleeping this year. Probably Te Kuiti. And we'll soon see what happens. So kia koutou katoa is that just recalling the old days with a whareke, their open fireplace where the sweetest of food is cooked, the harvest from the sea. Marokopa so different. The landscape, its history, unique in its own way. Is that just talking about those history, if we backdate, like I said earlier, to Kokako, and then Te Tamaho, Kokako has ties with Marokopa also. Born and bred at Rotoiti, when he grew up, decided to visit his father's people, Ngāti Awa, who had occupied Marokopa at the time. And Tamoho, who has history with Marokopa during his journey, he left whānau there, and I think he got booted out, as I said. And I can say that because I am Tamoho. And it's there, and it's also, he left in at Hunua. He trained his bird how to talk. There's a lot of stories with regards to Marokopa. And I suggest when you do go there is remember, is that wear the appropriate shoes. It doesn't have cement pathways. You have to walk in the sand. It's a beautiful experience to enjoy. That's our Koorero on Marokopa here on Tainui Live 95.4 FM.